This is a HeadGum podcast.
Jonathan Braylock, James III, Jerah Milligan.
What more can I say? You know what it is.
Black men can't jump.
In Hollywood.
Black actors, man. Black actors. All right.
Yeah, I was just thinking about, since we're doing Tarantino, how always he says the N-word.
You're going to welcome our listeners to the podcast?
Well, I was saying, man, I was thinking about
you just
the N-word.
started mid-conversation.
I was talking about the N-word, and I was like, I need to get this N-word.
So just so you know what just happened, the music ended, and then you just came in mid-conversation, and people are like, what's happening?
Well, they would be like, oh my God, what is he talking about?
What do you want to talk about?
Well, I don't know anymore.
Hold up.
I don't know.
No,
just stop talking.
No, it's fine. It's fine. What?
Both of you, stop talking.
Well, I'm just saying.
Stop.
What?
Welcome to Black Men Can't Hollywood.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome.
Oh, my Lord. It's 2016. We got to be better than this.
Hey, 2016. We talking about it 2016. Life, liberty, and the use of the N-word. What? That's not how we started off. Well, no, that's not how we.
Specifically today, we got a special guest.
We got a special guest.
We have a special guest.
Braylock's good with introductions.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
Oh,
you know why, though? This is the first guest that we have I did not bring in to the studio.
See, why he got to do that? Why he got to be
But
that
is
dude?
it the first one?
This is the first guest we've had. How many guests?
Because JB on the low is tyrannical about who we get on the show.
You know what I'm saying? Braylock, he
On the low.
extremely abusive. Extremely
We be like, what about this person? Be like, nah.
Nah, they'd be like, what about my friend Joe down the street?
It'd be like
movies.
It'd be like a text message exchange. What about this person? He respond to everything but that one question. Oh, nah.
Nah.
I
I thought y'all realized by my lack of response. Fuck that person. Okay, all right.
Come on,
but we
Johnny.
have a guest. Can we introduce the
In
guest?
2011, that guy made a YouTube.
Can we?
Hey, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't
Hey,
do
man,
that.
Bray be looking at us, and you can feel it through the phone. Like, he just looked at the text message, be like, I'm not even going to respond to that.
Okay, we still haven't introduced the guest.
Sorry. All right. We got improviser, all right, co-writer of Creed, our boy Aaron Covington in the house.
Yeah.
LA, you know what I'm saying? Hanging with us.
Hey, Aaron.
What's up?
Cue the rap air horn.
You know what I'm saying? we usually hit that. You know what I'm saying? See, I was trying to think of like the remixed Creed version of the Rocky song, but I couldn't. Like, they had too many drums, so I couldn't just start that.
You couldn't do all of it.
I couldn't do all the remixes. Get a little song.
Yeah.
You're thinking about it. It's like it's too many drums
I
in there.
can't
It's like
think
a
of it
little.
either.
It's a little beat.
That's great, though.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, welcome. It's good to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And we are doing the film. We're reviewing the film. We're not, doing it.
Yeah, we're not filming
We're
it.
filming.
No, we're filming. I thought we were filming this, bro.
Yeah, we're filming this. We are reviewing the film Django Unchained. The D is silent.
Starring Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx, Samuel L. Jackson, Kerry Washington, directed by Quentin Tarantino.
Also starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Christopher Waltz.
Yes.
The people who...
Well,
I'm
people
just
got
saying,
nom-
I'm just saying the people got nominated.
People got nominated?
People got nominated for awards, so...
Oh, man.
Important performances in the film.
That happens a lot.
Oh, we stopped introducing... just for the listeners who don't know, I'm Jonathan Braylock. That's my voice. Jonathan Braylock.
I'm James III.
I'm Jerah Milligan.
Why did you get disgusted?
I don't know.
Why did you get disgusted?
new
You changed your
listeners.
voice.
Why?
You changed your voice.
I am speaking the way I speak.
Nah.
For everyone at home, we did a sound check, all right, before we started this. And James's voice was so different. Now all of a sudden, he got the late night.
What's wrong with the way I'm speaking right now? I'm talking the way that I'm sorry.
Oh, now it's, you're going to make it like I'm
Fine.
picking on you. But I know the voice. I'm going to record one of those sound checks. People going to know.
You're right.
People going to know.
Django Unchained, directed by Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, backwards.
Movie came out 2012. It got nominated for a couple of awards, including Best Picture. It won for Best Original Screenplay.
Yep.
And it won for Best Supporting Actor.
So essentially, it won for all those uses of the N-word. It just basically they gave him an award because he was like 112 times. Cool. Oscar.
It's actually 116 times.
116. Excuse me.
Yeah, holds the record for the most uses of the N-word in any film ever made.
Wow.
Guess that's a good
Ever made in That not including, I guess, like random indie films that we wouldn't know about.
That nobody's counting their
Wait,
usage.
Menace? They didn't use it more in Menace?
What's that?
Menace to Society?
They did.
Oh, you know what?
They did
They
not.
did not.
They use it a lot in Menace.
Yeah, it's
But the thing is, it makes you think about it. It's like, now I'm like, did they use it that much in Menace to Society, or did we just was the
No, they
first time
definitely
like?
did.
No, they did, though.
But I wonder how much it is. I wonder if there's
Did anybody
if
count?
there's a record. I didn't check like what's the tally.
The N-word tally.
What are the top 5 movies that uses the N-word? I actually wanted to know if the record got broken by like. Did they use it a lot in Straight Outta Compton?
No.
No. But I wonder if but I wonder if people are like are people looking at minutes and going, let's count how many times they use
Yeah,
the
nobody
N-word.
cares.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're counting how many times Quentin's using it, but like they're not going to count.
Right.
Menace is still too real. They can't go back to it.
Yeah, they're like, man, what?
They can't. They don't want to.
Man,
So, yeah,
Boys in the Hood.
This was critically well received. It made
a good amount of money,
It made a good
man.
amount of money. I actually didn't look up how much it made.
I have it on my phone, but I
88%
can't.
on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, and so essentially, if you know Quentin Tarantino, if you know Inglourious Bastards, I think of this film as like the black version of Inglourious Bastards. It's like kind of a revenge saga. Essentially, Christopher Waltz's character is this bounty hunter. He takes Django, frees him, kind of, or not really. He buys him. He
buys him with the intention to free
with the
him.
intention to free him, and he uses him.
But he's
to
mad
also,
shady about it.
Awesome. Yeah, he kind of.
If I gotta use you as a slave, I'm gonna do it.
Sorry. Yeah, that's basically what he says. And then inevitably, Jamie Foxx has his wife, and Christopher Waltz's character is like, great, I'll help you find
I'm sorry,
her.
wait, Christoph.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Sorry, I just had to make sure.
All right,
you said it.
Christoph
James.
Waltz.
No, I'm saying y'all yelled at me for the Ray fiasco.
It's true.
So,
It's true,
Christoph.
we did.
It's true. You just sat
did.
there and knew that we were
did.
saying Ren
I
instead
just
of
felt-
Ray.
Yeah.
Well, he needs Django to find a couple bounties.
couple
the
bounties.
Baker boys.
That's
or
what happens
something,
at
yeah.
first.
And then and then when he realizes, oh, Django, you're pretty reliable. Why don't you keep helping me find some more bounties?
Yeah.
But what he says though in that conversation, he's like, he's like, I've never freed a man before, so I feel
responsible.
for what
Yeah.
happens to you, and I can't allow you to go to Candyland just like
By yourself.
blah blah blah.
Yeah.
We need to think of something. And to me, like that is very interesting because he's like, I feel responsible for what happens to you.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, this is a grown ass man. That grown ass man, if he won't go to Candyland, you know,
Right.
and go and get a little crazy, get a little ruckus going, let the man go to Candyland
Well, he's also
and start stomping on some candy.
he's also black in the time of slavery.
Yeah, it's actually a very interesting
South.
concept that they don't really go into all that much. But he's like he doesn't feel responsible for him as a child. He's like, now this is a man operating in a world that he doesn't understand, and I know that he wants to go and kill him and you know what I mean. I know he wants to do this, but I feel like I'm in a position where I can help him to do this.
Yeah, he felt like he changed his life, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
he would have just been a slave, but now that I freed you and you're going to walk to your death, I can't just let you do that.
Yeah, yeah.
And he knew that he had the tools to maybe make it a simpler thing.
Right.
Right.
Man, why couldn't
So-
Django be the black Frank Castle? Why
Well,
couldn't he be the Punisher?
We're like jumping right in, which is good because this movie is so long.
It's a lot. There's a lot in this movie. There's a lot.
long.
This movie is very long, and therefore there's a lot to talk about. And Quentin Tarantino, there's a lot to talk about because The Hateful Eight just came out. I think most of us,
I have not seen it.
James the Third didn't see it, but most
Yeah.
of us, Aaron's seen it.
I've seen it.
Jurassic,
Okay,
I've
so
seen it.
feel free to just talk about
we
it.
won't do spoilers or whatever, but it's definitely useful to talk about. Quentin Tarantino is a known entity. You know, he's his
Yeah.
own brand. And so let's just do first impressions real quick, I guess. Do you want to start, Aaron? I guess you're our guest.
First impressions of Django?
Of Django as a whole, and how it relates, I guess, to kind of the cause in terms of like what it's doing for leading black men. You know.
Oh, man. I mean, I think it's an entertaining movie. It's a fun movie. It portrays a lot of, like, this whole black cowboy thing. I know you guys did Wild
Right.
Wild West recently.
Yeah.
Which really is just a cool look.
It is.
These
It's
cowboy
true.
clothes
Yeah,
and
it
stuff. It's
is.
a cool look, so to
It looks
see.
dope. Did you like that blue suit?
I mean, I didn't mind that either, bro.
Yeah,
There's a black dude on a horse in slow motion. I was like, I didn't even care, man.
Yeah, and they got some cool jokes out of it, you know.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you wear? Yeah. All that stuff. Does it help the cause?
Well, we'll get to that later, but I mean,
Okay, we'll get to that later.
I mean, that's an initial
and
report.
anything-
watching it, yeah. Like when you saw it in terms of like knowing this stuff in the back of your mind, did it change the experience of
Yeah.
it? Because there's probably the second time or
Yes.
yeah.
I think it does.
Yeah.
It definitely does. I think it helps generally, maybe not majorly, because when you're Tarantino, who's such a big name, it's kind of looked at as an anomaly. You know, it's like he does this, he can do whatever he wants. We nobody else can do what he does. So I don't know if anybody's like, we're gonna do more like black cowboy slave movies because nobody else can do what he does.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, I think seeing that, and there are a lot of black actors in there.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely positives from it.
Jerah.
Man, the thing is, like, me and James watched this the other day.
Yeah.
And, like, watching it, there's so many feelings that I felt while watching it. I was like,
Happy,
there's a lot
sad.
of good things about the movie, but there's also a lot of things I'm like, because I keep comparing this because, Bray, I think you said it. It's like, when I watch this, I'm instantly think of Inglourious Basterds, which is like, the Jews fighting back against Hitler, right? And when I watch this movie, it's like there's so much slavery stuff. Whereas when I think back to Inglourious Basterds, you didn't see. I mean, do you see a concentration camp or anything?
Absolutely not.
And it's like, but it was still effective without showing the harshities of what went down.
Harshities, I like.
So
that.
do you not want to see? You don't want to?
No,
The
I
thing is, I don't.
I definitely know what you're talking about.
But it's interesting. It's like you can find out about Django and his history without it being like, this is when his girl got whipped, and this is when
She got branded.
Like, we can find out about just their relationship, but we don't see that really.
So imagine a movie set in slave times that didn't show any,
just didn't show any of that.
slavery, and what the backlash would be like. People were getting whipped, and they'd be like, "Well, we didn't want to show that." And they'd be like, "Oh, so now you don't want to show the truth." You know?
I mean, that's true. It's just interesting to me. It's like
this
because
did come out before. Sorry.
No, it's interesting only because I'm like, and Aaron, I think you brought up a good point. Like, would this movie have been as effective or have such an impact without showing it? Because you were able to do it with Inglourious Basterds. You were able to like show what Jews went through. You were able to show like what it was like for them to like get Hitler in this fictional movie. What would have happened if you did the same thing without showing like the dingo fights and like Carrie being whipped?
Well, yeah, they might could have done without the dingo.
Yeah, the dingo fight, and then it's like, then the dog thing. I mean, they showed that twice, and I'm like, to me, it's like it was just
multiple whipping scenes.
Yeah,
it wasn't just one. It was like four.
Yeah, so like, I don't know, like the initial reaction, I was like, I just started questioning more this time. I was like,
That's
is this
interesting.
necessary? Is that necessary?
That's really interesting,
fair.
especially bringing it in context of Inglourious. Do you want it?
Well, yeah, I mean, since we watched it together, a lot of what Jerah was saying was influencing how I was watching it. But like, in thinking about that, there's the part later on in the movie where Django is caught. It's like after all the shit goes down first, and he's talking to Tarantino and the other guys.
Yeah.
That like
Tarantino plays a role,
and he's like, this is what I'm going after. I'm going after this guy, blah blah. And it's obviously a ruse, but like, if the whole movie was that, like this black man it's already after, that's a very interesting story to me. That like is not
he
the
was
story
never a slave. He's already
a bounty hunter. That's a very interesting,
that'd be interesting.
story, and I feel like that is in line with what you're talking about. Like, that's how you wouldn't show that if you start there.
No. But you don't even. I mean, it's just. I'm just because he starts.
He starts getting free.
All of that stuff, the whipping stuff, is flashback.
But he has more agency at that point, right? Like, he has more. He is more in control of his destiny at that point, and it's only the last two scenes. But like, could you have made a movie? Could you have made a movie about that? That I think that like that. Anyway,
I know what you're talking about.
saying.
There's definitely.
But then other initial reactions. I think I saw this twice in the theater. I just want to say that.
wow.
I think I saw it twice.
You liked it?
So I liked it. I was conflicted by it because the N-word discussion happened before. It happened before the movie came out. So I was watching it and the whole time going like, I don't know, but I feel like this is what would happen. I feel like people would be saying the N-word like this. So like, I was conflicted when I saw it in the theater, but I did see it twice. That's the other thing I want to say.
I would say, I think, it was hard. The first time I saw this movie, I like Quentin Tarantino, and I definitely liked it. But I also was like, I personally was just like, well, it feels very similar to Inglourious Basterds to me. Mm-hmm. Literally, like Christoph Waltz is playing like the same exact kind of type of character, even though he's a good guy now instead of a bad guy. And
he won for both movies, right?
And he went for both, yeah. And I was just like, but I was like, the violence was even more brutal. Like the violence in this movie was like way more way more like visceral for me than the one in Inglourious. And Inglourious, it was pretty freaking brutal, but it was like brutal more so to the Germans that they were killing. And the only real scene that you see with them, with like Christoph Waltz's character as a Nazi killing Jews, is in the beginning when they just like kind of blow those people away that are hiding. Yeah, you know, and they just kind of blow them away with guns. You don't even see it, and you don't really kind of see it. The only thing you just there's the brutality of it. You don't really see it, and then the brutality that you do see is them like scalping freaking Nazis, like you know, all that stuff. At the end, just murdering everybody. And you see that in this movie. He like, you know, he murders everybody. Jamie Foxx murders everybody at the end in this movie. But there's so much more brutality shown towards the black bodies. And I know that he was doing that purposely. And like we were talking about, it was like, you know, it's effective because you're like, I guess it's supposed to rile up the hatred so that when the revenge is enacted, you feel more satisfied. But I felt satisfied and Inglourious and I didn't see it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there was like, so I'm definitely, so I don't know. It's hard. But it's hard for me to watch Quentin Tarantino as a whole. Even The Hateful Eight, I was just like, there's a way that he uses violence that, like, you know, when you first see like Reservoir Dogs, you're like, oh man, this is intense, but it's new and it's like brutal, but I don't know, there's something to it. Like even Pulp Fiction, Kill Bill, you know. I love Kill Bill. But like the more every time another movie comes out, the more I'm like feeling like I'm noticing the fact that I'm being desensitized to it. Yeah. And I don't know how I feel about it. And also, this movie came out before 12 Years a Slave, too, though. Yeah. So I feel like the way that I'm thinking about it now is even...
Comparing the two?
Yeah, because like 12 Years, I'm like, okay, this one was just showing the harshness of it. And whereas Django is supposed to be... It's supposed to be like our revenge fantasy. So like in our revenge fantasy, do we still need to see...
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean?
Well, no, you don't. Like you can start after. And you don't need to have the...
I think I'm okay with the place they start. My thing is like I don't need to see everything that's happening in between. Like he's witnessing a lot of.
It almost could have been more powerful. Like when they're at the dinner and they show her back. If we hadn't seen any whippings before, and you saw her back and you're like, oh yeah, that's right, slavery.
Exactly.
That's a great point.
Exactly.
That's a great
it's so
point.
funny. When we watched it, it's so funny.
Or
you
have
say
the
that.
one scene. Just have the
one
scene
make it
where
intense.
you're like, oh my god, like the one, like the dog chewing scene when Christoph Waltz is like so disturbed by that guy getting like ripped apart by dogs. I'm like, yeah, but you also saw two black men literally beating each other to death and one kill another one in front of it. That was way more, I'm sorry, to me, that's way more disturbing than the dog. Like the dog stuff is disgusting as well, but like forcing two human beings to fight to the death. Well, it's like, holy crap.
but then even to make matters worse though, that guy is a Mandingo fighter. So it's like, he's not only is he thinking about the fact that he gets ripped apart, but he's thinking about the fact that he not only did that, but had to kill three other dudes. Like that's that guy's history. So as much as he's remembering that moment, he's also remembering everything else that guy went through.
But you see what we're talking about right now? We're talking about Christoph Waltz. No, but the thing is, I'm going to say it. Django not the star of this movie.
He's not.
Django is not the lead of this movie.
Right. Well, that's what Will Smith said, right?
Yeah, that's
why he didn't want to do it.
Yeah, just his, a little fact for everyone listening at home. Like Will Smith was offered Django. He said that. Oh, and this is why, so everyone knows, this is where I stole it from. Will Smith said that he didn't want to do it because Django didn't kill the big bad.
Yeah,
and which means like to him Leo, which I've heard people argue that Sam Jackson is the big bad. But the thing is, the person who has the emotional like arc or journey in this movie is Christoph Waltz's character. I mean, and it's crazy to think that the white dude who sets the black man free, who helps the black man get his wife back because what is the parable that he uses? Because when a German
Brunhilde,
when a German like comes upon blah blah blah, he is obliged to help. Yeah. So it's like he does this thing where he goes, and then the thing is when they win at the end, like when Leo signs over Brunhilde, right? All he has to do is shake his hand. The person who still feels so angry about like every shitty thing that's happened up to this point is not Jamie Foxx. It's Christoph Waltz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it is like Christoph Waltz is the one.
And you could do, I was in watching it, and obviously I was watching with Jerah, and he was yelling this whole time. But,
Hey man,
you don't need.
I'm passionate. I talk with passion. Okay.
But you don't need that scene. You don't even need that moment. Like that moment, you could have the whole movie and not have that moment.
Which moment?
The him shaking his hand and it's literally like a wait. You know, like he says wait.
No, but I
come
like
back.
that moment.
It's a great moment, but you can do the whole movie, and the movie is still super effective without that. Like,
Well, then how would they get into that big shoot?
what if it was Django? Like, what if Django got angry and did
Yeah.
something?
But
you know what I mean?
to me-
Like, what if it was
But to
him?
me, it's like, I think it's what Jerah is saying, but just like not having Christoph Waltz be the character that makes that decision. It's like, embarrass Django. Like,
Yeah.
do something that embarrasses Django because he's our
he's the one.
central character.
Yeah.
He's the one
Well,
that...
we see him start to shoot when they're showing her back.
Yeah.
But he
And we
doesn't.
see him start to shoot
another
another
time.
time. Yeah.
Start to shoot.
Yeah.
But he only
Right,
does that when he. But do you know what I mean? Like
But, no, I do know what you mean, but that's what I'm saying. Is like they're
Do something
building
to
up
him.
to something that they never
that they
even
never
show.
do.
never
That they
show.
never
So what
do.
happens is like maybe Leo does something to Kerry Washington's
Yes.
character,
Yes.
Brunhilde,
Yeah.
right? Like that
Totally.
embarrasses her, and that's when Django goes crazy and starts shooting.
Totally.
It would have been even better if Django just went crazy. Like Leo didn't even do anything else, and he was like,
Exactly.
Or if he'd have been like, "Oh, you want to shake hands? Why don't you shake my hand?" You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Bring attention
But
to him.
going back to when Christoph Waltz was like, "I feel an obligation to help you." If it had been Django who said, "Look, this is what I'm going to do, but I can't do it alone," it might have even been, Django motivating the whole thing instead of
Right.
like.
Because it felt like he was following the whole. No, I don't want to say following might not be the right word, but it felt like he
Taking
wasn't
his lead.
Yeah,
He was taking
yeah.
like
He wasn't in the driver's seat of this whole
right.
movie to me until the very end
until
of the
the
movie.
end. So wait, does everybody agree with that? Do they think it's hard? The other thing that I'll bring up though is it's not just Will Smith said that he didn't believe he was a league just because he couldn't kill the big bad, but it was also because he thought that the movie should have been a love story at the center of
Right.
it.
Yeah.
And like he's doing all of this for love, and after hearing that and like watching it again, I was like, I definitely
agree.
see Will's point. Like,
I agree.
What we also have to talk about is the fact that Brunhilde, Kerry Washington's character, her entire role in this movie is just to be destroyed.
Yeah.
Like it's to be saved and to be destroyed. And her it's like all of the scenes are her like her being whipped, her coming like we see two scenes, where she's whipped in the past. We see her coming out of this hot box thing.
And I read
We
somewhere
see
that she
her
was in the
being
hot box for
embarrassed.
hours.
In real life.
We only see that
In real
scene.
life.
We only see like literally like 30 seconds of her in the hot box, but in real life she was in it for hours.
That's
It's
crazy.
so funny you bring that up because we watched it, and James, your girlfriend was there, and literally we both were screaming at certain points. Why did she do this movie? Like literally, it was like
My girlfriend was like, this part should have gone to a porn star.
Like, she
because
was
all
like-
it is just flesh, and then I was like,
It's
okay,
true.
all right,
It's true. And the thing is, and you brought it up, like this came out right before 12 Years a Slave, and for some reason, every time I looked at Kerry Washington's character, I kept thinking of Lupita's character, and I'm like, these two women are both, slaves. They both
Right.
have been beaten down, but there's a difference. And the thing is, like, when I went back, it's like, you see harsh things happen to Lupita, too.
Yes.
Like, they threw a fucking rock at her head or something like that in that movie.
Oh, when the wife throws
was-
that like little statue or something at her head.
Like, in close range.
Yeah.
But yet, that character still had an emotional, like, journey. Whereas, like you said,
and
Bray,
scenes where you can see her who she really was,
Yeah.
where she's
Yeah.
talking to what's his name?
I pronounce his name wrong every time.
Chitwell.
Chiwetel
Chiwetel.
Ejiofor?
You said it so quick. Like,
Yeah, I gotta say it quick. Chiwetel.
You said it so quick. I can't tell. Close enough. But yeah, but it's like you see that, and like bro, like what you're saying is like all Carrie was in this movie was a victim, yo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Like,
Yeah.
man, this was a hard role because she had to be at an emotional 10 every scene she did.
Yeah.
Crying or in pain. I was like, that is.
It was all worth it though because she got nominated for.
Wait,
Oh, wait.
but wait,
Oh, my
hold
bad.
on.
Nah,
She
bruh.
didn't get a. She didn't get a. She didn't
Oh
get a
wait,
SAG
no,
nomination.
she didn't get nothing. Okay,
Hold
so
on, time out. Time out. Let's backtrack.
she didn't get a wink. She didn't even get like a maybe.
Hold on, let's go
She
through.
didn't get a Golden Globe.
No, let's go through the awards, okay? All right. Did she
Golden
get?
Globe. There are 10 nominations.
Did she get? She
Really?
didn't get a Golden Globe.
No, she didn't get nominated
She
for
didn't get a
squat.
SAG?
Nah.
Come on, BET gave her one at least.
Honestly, I don't even know
Oh,
if
she got
BET
NAACP.
No,
gave her one.
NAACP didn't give her one?
Django, and Jamie Foxx and Samuel got nominated for BET Awards. I don't know if
Yo,
she
nah,
did.
Carrie had to
Real
get a
quick
nomination
though,
for something, man.
did Leo get it? I know this is a black man catch up, but did Leo get a nomination?
He didn't get an Oscar now, but he got a Golden
did.
Globe.
Honestly, he
And
is
a
my
SAG.
favorite part of this entire movie.
He didn't
I
get
just
an
have to
Oscar.
say
He
it.
didn't get the Academy nomination.
He got a Golden Globe one?
He got a Golden Globe, and he got I think a SAG one too.
Okay, all right, cool.
I mean, Leo. I hate to say Leo was great,
I love him in this.
but also, you know what? I don't want to keep jumping to 12
He's
years a
such
slave.
an asshole.
He is, but he's such a likable asshole, man. It's like they make him
Leo
witty.
was great in this.
They make him witty.
Yeah, it's a very entertaining role for
You
him.
know, and it's like, but the thing is, I mean, in all honesty, him and Sam Jackson could never have won if they would have gotten nominated for an Oscar. Because you can't give Leo an Oscar for playing like an evil slave owner, and you
Okay,
can't
wait,
give
so since we-
Sam Jackson an award for playing Uncle
Wait,
Tom.
you
Okay, but wait,
can't?
but since we talked
Why?
about-
Christoph Waltz won for playing a Nazi.
That's not the way the world works, man. Like, I hate to say, like, when I think about it, when I saw that movie, I was like, there's no way Sam Jackson's going to get a nomination for playing Uncle Tom.
Literally,
white people have so much grief.
They had a conversation about it. I'm sure they did. They were like, he's really good in this. And then they were like, nah, we can't. Can we do it? Nah, we can't. We can't give him a nomination for this.
But now
Well, who
I'm
won
okay
it?
with Samuel Jackson not getting a nomination for it. Why did
guilt
why
did not
Jamie
allow
Foxx?
Leo? Did not
Well,
allow
I mean,
Leo
we
to
know
get a
why Jamie
nomination.
Foxx didn't get a nomination because he wasn't the star of the movie.
Yeah, he didn't
wasn't
make
the
any
star.
decisions in
He
the
didn't
movie.
make anything. My thing is
Until the very end.
No, and this
To
is no
point.
offense, and I don't even know if this is not because we never critique like straight performances, but I think it's the way the script was written.
All right, actually-
Jamie Foxx had nothing to do. Like I feel
Yeah,
like
Jamie Foxx had no
he
thing
had
to do.
one like he didn't have they didn't give him a chance to yell at anybody. He had one thing.
Kerry Washington actually did get a BET award for this.
There we
All
go.
right, yeah.
BET.
She got the award.
We hold
the
it
award.
Yeah,
down.
BET.
Yes.
Did she
Hold it
win?
down.
That's
Did she
what's up.
win?
She won.
There
That's
we
what's
go.
up.
She won
Kerry.
for Best Actress. For Best Actress, she wasn't the main actress.
Whoa,
Hey,
best
listen, she was in the
actress?
movie. She was in
Wait,
the movie.
who else
She was the only.
nominated?
Wait. She was the only woman.
What's that?
Listen.
Only 2 women had lines in this movie. 3.
Oh, first off, can we talk about
Oh,
the
yeah.
one black, the
Big
black
Daddy.
girl, the Big Daddy,
Big Daddy.
the
Can we
Big
talk about
Daddy
that?
black girl?
How was
A
she
couple of-
directed in that film? How was she directed?
How? Exactly? Who told
I think
her?
she was given line readings. She was like, "How do you want me to do?" And he
Wait,
was
how-
like,
how
"Say
you-
it like this." She was like, "I don't know how to do." You know,
Yeah,
he had to tell her exactly what he
Flame
wanted.
it up.
And I think that's so
Slave it up.
interesting. And it's because I think it's because of the Natasha Rothwell episode. Or like when I see like black women on screen and the pigment of their skin. Like this was a dark skinned black woman in this movie, and every time she spoke, it was like Big Daddy. You talking about them over there? But then when you heard Carrie speak, even though they both were slaves, Carrie sounded like she was the educated slave, if you will. She was the slave that spoke German.
Was the one
Like,
that was saying Big Daddy also
she was on
a house
this porch.
slave?
She was
Yeah,
on the
you're right,
porch
you're right.
touring them around, so she clearly was in the house
Yeah.
or on the porch at least. She made it on the steps. She went in the field and she's saying Big Daddy. I'm like, what? Was that actress proud of that role? Is my question.
Well, I think
Would her mom see that role and be like, Jasmine or I don't know her name?
I think yes,
Good
in the
job.
context of the whole movie, because you're in this movie that's being nominated for all these awards and stuff, and it's like,
Yeah,
you know
it's
what
like
I mean?
that's me in that movie.
Also, we have to continue to remember that this came out before 12 Years a Slave.
And she didn't have to do no man. Take 12 years out of it. Did
Yeah.
this woman have to speak like that? Like
Yeah,
my
why-
thing is, how did they direct her? Like
One
my thing
person
is,
had, yeah.
how did I want to know? Did she come in and just do the role like with a southern accent? And so I'm like, no, make it sound more slavey. I want to know what that direction
make it
was.
it's because it sounds like she is so in a box. She sounds so in a box that I wonder if she was directed a specific.
'Cause I feel like it wasn't necessary.
And it also has an infantile quality to it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just Southern. It's like, yeah.
And I think, and to me, it's
Childish.
It makes
It
sense
is.
that one person would be like that.
No, I mean, honestly.
Well, I guess
that's
the
right,
question
too,
is like
but
that was a
but-
choice that he made.
Yeah.
They could have either got another actress or told her to speak any way.
Right.
You know what I mean? But they said no.
the,
That's it. That's the print.
and for some reason, it's because of how she looks and the fact that she sounds like that bothers me. It's like, and this is, I know, whatever, but the fact that she is dark skinned and talks like that, I feel like that makes me upset because I understand some slaves couldn't read, some slaves can do, like you just didn't have to do that. Like
Most couldn't read.
yeah, most couldn't
Some
read.
slaves
Some.
couldn't read.
It was like
a couple of them.
But 2 out of
was on
10
the
couldn't
porch.
read.
but she was on the porch at least, man. I'm like, she made it out the field.
She made it
man.
off the porch.
She made it on the porch. I hate to say it, but she did. making it out that field is a big deal, man.
Wait, time out. I love how you said hashtag we made it.
To the porch, yeah.
Like Negroes went from the field to the porch.
Yo, I'm not.
They were like, we made it.
But
we
I'm
in a
not-
big house now.
Yo, I'm not trying to belittle it, but the thing is, it's like she made it to the porch, so she was.
Snap.
But like, I don't know,
Was
man. She
she?
couldn't something.
It's
Honestly,
just
she
that they
made it to
liked
the
her.
porch. Honestly.
Yeah, maybe they liked her enough.
Yeah, but there was like, I mean, there was a dark skinned chick at Candyland that was like his
Oh,
that chick that was, but she
Yeah.
was like had a regal thing about
Yeah,
her.
true.
So I don't know.
She had a real
What,
one. You're right. You're right.
So wait, since we have you on the podcast, Aaron, and you are a screenwriter, well, I feel like we need to talk about the fact that this won Best Screenplay.
Yeah, best screen.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And we should probably pull up the other films that were nominated. But like, did you feel like, oh, this was a very well written movie? I mean, that's a loaded question because
Well, I think pretty much all of Tarantino stuff is pretty well written. He does a great job of planning and payoffs. He does a great job.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, his monologues are always like,
Yeah.
pretty. You're like, what did that guy just say? And it's always really, really good. And he does a
Right.
great job of building tension with dialogue.
Yeah.
You know, that a lot of that I don't even know how he does it. You know, it's like,
Yeah, we started by saying that this movie is long, but I saw it twice in the theater, and each time it didn't feel that long.
yeah.
I mean,
oh,
he
it felt
wrote-
long watching it this time.
I mean, this time it felt a little bit long, but like I remember speaking on the writing of it. There's when we see Samuel Jackson, like it's a shot of him. He's in there. He's signing bills for Candyland, and when he comes out and sees Jamie, the line is, "Who is this nigga on that nag?" And the thing is, like he repeatedly yells that, and
Yeah.
for some reason, I saw this movie twice too, and I saw it in the South, right, Jacksonville, Florida. When I saw it, it was split. It just happened to be split. Black people were on one side, white people were on the other side.
Wait,
like
what?
yeah, crazy. Because my stepfather was disabled. I know, it was crazy.
Wait, that was
sat in
not
the-
a coincidence.
We sat in the handicap area so we could turn back and like we just saw it was split. How it happened, don't know, but it happened. And like the only thing everyone laughed at was that moment. Like that was the moment that like
And the whole audience.
everyone became, because there was a couple of things people were like, oh, you could hear like.
I was laughing at the whole movie
Yeah,
though.
like,
Like,
I
it was
was
a lot
too.
of funny stuff. It's
Yeah.
almost
Yeah.
a comedy
Some
to
people
me.
were like
Yeah.
uncomfortable, but
There's a lot
that
of
point,
comedy.
it was like the permission to laugh, and I was like, that was a good moment because that moment was so absurd,
Yeah.
that it brought, you know,
Isn't that like 2 hours into the movie? It was the
Oh.
first time everyone
well, because
laughed.
the thing
Because a white guy says that when he's on a horse earlier,
yeah.
walking into town, and like,
But
who's that
can't
nigga
laugh at
on that
that one.
horse? No, 'cause the white guy said it. Yeah,
yeah,
can't
and
laugh.
then black people were laughing because I guess I think people were worried about laughing at certain things, like the whole like KKK moment of like the mask and stuff.
Yeah.
like people were laughing at that, but then after a while, you could hear those laughs like die out very
Yeah.
quickly, and then like so it was like that awkward tension in the theater, but everyone laughed at who is this? You know, I mean, because that was so well written.
Also very well played, though, too.
Oh, I mean, Sam Jackson. I mean, the way his head was shaking like an old man was crazy. Like nonstop, he had the old man, I'm about to die, like swivel on his head, and I was like, oh man, this is great acting right here, man. This is great. Like, this is great.
Yeah, it is interesting that the film that has the most N words got that won, you know,
Best screenplay?
One screenplay.
And I also find it interesting just because I felt like this film was so similar to Inglourious, though the ending of the screenplay, the ending of Django felt like, I know we talked about like The Hateful Eight being like two different movies between the first half and the second half.
Yeah.
And Inglourious kind of felt like that too. Like the first half of Inglourious, and then all of a sudden there was like, but it was like this turn that you're like, oh my God, I didn't know that this movie was going to be a revenge. Like
Yeah,
you're just going
revenge.
to rewrite history.
Yeah.
Like this revisionist kind of history. And Django was like a little bit less. It was just like this person that probably couldn't have existed, and you do this like cool thing that happened, but it wasn't like killing Hitler. You know what I mean? Like, but the way that it stretched out at the end to me made it feel long. Like I just thought. I didn't understand why there had to be like two final shootout scenes.
Oh,
It was, like,
he Michael
one
Bay'd it.
shootout scene, and then they went and then they came back and do another shootout scene. I was like, whatever, you could have just finished that up in the
first one. Yeah, I mean, that's true. But I also think like we knew going into this movie that Django was a straight up revenge picture, and it's like
right.
he had
I think
to get
it's like
revenge.
he wanted like Django was just killing him, right?
Yeah.
At the first shootout.
Yeah.
Right.
But you needed him to get beat up a little bit. And I think that's why there was like the break, and then he's hanging upside down, and Obviously,
he
they were
wasn't-
kicking his ass.
Wasn't beat up enough.
And also, no,
And then they wanted to give him that moment that you were talking about to make that decision. You know, that's the screenwriting part where it's like, okay, he makes a decision to go back and get revenge
It gets a
in
little
a
bit more
glorious fashion.
agency.
He can
Yeah.
stand over them on the top balcony. He watches it, blow up. But like the way he was killing them at Candyland the first time, he wasn't taking any L's.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
just like pop, pop, pop. Oh, lost a gun, dive, get another one, pop, 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 pop. So
I read on IMDb that apparently that shootout wasn't actually in the script.
it wasn't.
No.
Oh wow.
Oh,
That it was just like they got captured right away. And then it was like this thing at the end.
I mean,
that might have been
that's interesting.
that might have been lit.
I also think
be
I
honest.
also think it's interesting because I feel like the reason, of course, he had to go back and and save the day. But I think the key thing that happened is he became a hero when he rode off, like when he got captured, because that black dude that we saw throughout the movie who hated Django. The black dude who was like just staring at him, why you looking at me, blah, 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 blah. At the end of that movie, he looks at him with that little twinkle in his eye like, oh, the black man's about to go.
And
I get it now.
I get
Django
it.
is
The black
one
guy.
of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
And
one of us.
but like that moment, right? As melodramatic, I guess, as that moment is, like it makes up for so much of the violence that we see, right? Because when we see that slave looking at him angrily and hating him, we're all like, yes, we all feel this way. When the Mandingo fighter gets ripped apart by the dogs, we're even more angry as to why Django is not doing anything. But then, like, it all is erased by that because we understand that he was doing it for this greater. Like, he didn't do anything there because
a black
Yeah.
had he done anything,
Yeah.
had he done
Django's kind of cold blooded, man.
He was.
yeah, but like,
he was
had he
super cold-blooded.
he wouldn't have saved her. He wouldn't have been able to save her.
But
Had
the
he done
reality is, though, if Christoph Waltz didn't freaking shoot, Leo, Candy, he would have freaking
He would have left.
he would have left.
He
He
just
wouldn't
left.
have cared about any of those people.
No, at the point where he shot him, he said, if they try to leave, shoot her.
No, I'm saying like
What I'm saying is
if Schultz would have just shook his hand,
Just shook his
Just
hand.
right up top.
yeah,
Just
Okay.
shook his hand.
Yeah.
Then they would have left. They would have paid the $12,000, which is an absurd amount of money for Kerry Washington,
Yeah.
and they would have just left. And Django wouldn't have gotten all this revenge stuff. It wasn't even. That's why I'm like,
Yeah.
there's like part of me that like watches this movie, and I'm just like, I don't.
Who's-
I understand what Will Smith was like complaining about.
Who's it
because I'm just
for?
like, who? What? Yeah, is this for? I guess that's my question, to you guys. Like, do
yeah,
you
who is this
think
movie
do you
for?
think black people felt the same satisfaction that Jews felt after watching Glorious?
Hell no.
I mean, no. I mean,
don't.
no.
Like, I'm just
If
like,
you-
whatever. Like, these people die. Like, who
What is
cares?
like, yeah, there's a lot of problematic things in this movie. Just right off the top. Like, one, like the big revenge at the end, the last person he kills is yelling at him is a black man.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that
The
was
big
my
bad
first
is a
problem.
black man.
That was my first problem. I hated that.
This idea of singling out one black man. He singles out Django. And then even when they're talking about the brain thing, then when they bring it back at the end, he's like, actually, you may seem like you're an exceptional Negro, but you're going to have the same two dimples that every other dumbass Negro
Yeah.
has. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's a lot of like black exceptionalism kind of thing in this movie that's problematic besides just the Mandingo fights and the slavery and the whippings
Yeah,
and
Ja-
the Sam
It
Jackson
feels
character.
like Django's character, like, at the end of the day, he doesn't really care about the other black people. He just cares about getting his
But
wife.
see, right? Like that's like if it's not, it's
Even in the scene that you're talking about,
it's
I
not
feel
a
like,
it's not a revenge film in the same way that Inglourious is because it's not like he's again. If you start with a guy that's like going around to plantation and he's just like, my goal is to fucking kill all the
Liberate.
plantation owners.
Liberate.
Like, if you start there and liberate, right, all the
Liberate.
slaves. If you start there, then that's the movie that all black people are like, yeah.
like, that's a cool film.
Because Inglorious, the whole point is they're trying to get justice for the Jews. Like
Yes.
that's the whole point. They go after the guy who is causing the Jews the most harm, and it's
right.
doing for all Jews, not just like me personally. It's like no, I'm doing this for everybody. Whereas Django is singular.
And if
selfish in a way.
it so happens that at the top of the list is fucking Robert E. Lee,
Right.
and Robert E. Lee also has my girl. You know, like if that's
Right.
what is the other.
I don't mind it even being Leo's character. It just
or Calvin Kennedy,
just like,
who's
but like,
an
okay,
amazing
so like, I
character.
also read like that, like Leo's character like was the only character Quentin Tarantino ever wrote that he like truly despised, like truly hated. Why? Honestly, why? Like, was he that much worse than every other freaking white person in this movie? Was he? Because I didn't think so. I was just like, the only time he got really upset because you guys tried to cheat him. Anybody would be upset if you try to cheat him. He's just as racist as everybody else. I think because of the Manchingo fighters.
I think
but
the
it's
Dingo
just,
fighters is
but the
making it
other
harsher.
people. But what about the other dude?
Yeah, the other guy who had
a. You know what I mean? Why
brothel.
did that guy die?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was just like there's so many things. I was just like, I don't understand why we're trying to make this guy the worst.
Well,
they all don't care about black bodies. They're all. You know what I mean? This may seem a little bit more sadistic, but it's just like. They're all like they all don't.
You want to know the
care.
truth, James? I mean, sorry, James. I'm used to yelling at
look
you.
at this.
You want to know
Just
the
'cause
truth?
you're
Ray?
mad.
I'm used to yelling at James. I'm used to yelling at James.
You literally
know what this movie
looked
is?
Jonathan Braylock in the eye and yelled at him.
It's fine.
Do you want to know what this is? This is the movie that always happens with Hollywood, okay? This movie was not to appease African Americans or people of color. This movie was to make white people feel good about themselves. This movie is just like The Help, okay? This movie is, no, in a way, this movie is just like, oh, hey, you know what? These white people here are bad. But you know what? I'm happy I can watch this in 2012 and realize I'm not them. I'm better than them. I'm going to help.
Right.
I'm going to help the black people get what they need in
Brad
life.
Pitt.
Sure. Like
You know?
I would have never been as bad as
I
Leo's
never
character.
would have been this.
I would have been like,
Schultz.
I would have been some of this other guy that
been
was like
Schultz.
Yeah.
sympathetic, or even
Doctor-
the
the
Leo's
dentist.
secondhand accountant guy
Oh, yeah.
who was like just a pawn. He was like a pawn in
Yeah,
it. Like
he understood black people.
Yeah,
You know, it's
like-
I'm one of those type of white people. This one for me. So when I went to see this movie, you know what I said to Quentin Tarantino in my head? In my head is what I said. Okay, I didn't say it in real life. I was like, "Hey man, fuck you for this." That's what I said in my head.
Wait, really? I thought you liked this movie.
The thing is, watching it, I was like, "This is entertaining," but it was so problematic because at the end of the day, this movie wasn't to appease me.
I mean,
it
right?
wasn't
Like Spike Lee said, I'm not going to see this movie because slavery was not a spaghetti western, right?
I don't mind that.
like,
though.
but it's not, right? It wasn't.
It's true.
And like, and you know, this movie came about. I mean, according to Quentin Tarantino, I wanted to know if I could write a revenge film set during slavery, and if it could be like a spaghetti western. Like literally, it was just like, what if could I do this, right? And so it was written for him to do that experiment. He's a filmmaker. He wanted to do that, right? Now, whether or not he was trying to make black people feel like we got our revenge film, that's another question. I don't know that he was. It is an entertaining movie. It is a movie I saw multiple times in the theater. But like,
It is.
I don't think he was trying to.
no, I think he might have thought not to whatever, but he might have thought, man, black people are going to think this is cool though.
Yeah,
because obviously,
I definitely think
obviously
definitely
he
thought
is
that.
he is enamored or whatever it is with black culture and
Yeah.
black things, black
Yeah.
exploitation, but he's also enamored with spaghetti westerns and kung fu stuff and a lot of Chinese Japanese culture
Yeah.
too. He has his, I don't want to say fetishes, but he has his
Mexican
Yeah,
standoff.
he
yeah,
loves-
Mexican
likes.
standoffs.
He
He
loves
has
it.
his
The
things
things
that he
that he
loves, so that's what he's diving into. I don't know if it's okay. I mean, everybody's implicit. He made a movie with 116 of the N-words. Some producer said that's okay, and they made it. Actors said, okay, yeah, we'll say it, we'll do
be
it.
in it. Yeah.
Sound guy, camera guy, PAs, everybody was on set when this was happening.
Though people
we
were-
saw it, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
we did
We're
see it.
implicit, you know
There's
what I mean?
many. There's many like there are many different accounts of like different actors, especially Leo, feeling uncomfortable with how many times they had to say it, and like
Yeah,
them, like,
super
going up to
uncomfortable
me
as
and being
a-
like, you have to freaking say this.
Yeah, as they read the script and said, I'm uncomfortable, and
then they
did it though.
Yeah,
You know
exactly.
what I mean?
It's true.
So,
100%.
Do you guys think it'd be different if it was a black director? Because I know, like right now, Quentin Tarantino is being sued because there's two African American men who said they came up with the idea called it was called Freedom, starring Jackson Friedman. This one is Django Friedman, and it's basically like they said this movie hits the same beats as their movie hits the same beats as
Yeah.
Django. Would we be feeling this same way if? Now, hear me out. Not if the script was different. The script is exactly the same. The product is exactly the same. If Spike Lee or Ava DuVernay, like, would we feel as
But my thing
Or Ryan
is,
Coogler. Anyway, keep going.
I was like that. Shout out.
If Aaron Covington and Ryan Coogler wrote this script,
Exactly the same. Would we still feel like...
but my thing is that I refuse to believe that the script would be exactly the same because and I want to
of
touch on the
course.
article that James the third shared on Facebook. What was her name?
Tanya Pickens?
Yeah. What is it?
Tanya.
About black perspectives, because it's like that's something that I because I just read it and I was watching this movie, I was just like so aware of like, man, this movie is dealing with black bodies, black perspective. It's like all about like the just how slavery took black people and reduced them into almost less than animals. You know what I mean? They're a property. They are bodies to be bought and sold and dealt with however their owners deemed fit. And it was like very much like even in the beginning of the movie, you see all these black men in chains walking. You see they all have shirts off. They're all sweating. You see their bodies. It was just like, how many times do we see like a body with like whip marks on it and stuff like that? And I was just like, man, to have this and then put that in the hands of a white director and a white screenwriter, you know what I mean? Somebody who has so much ultimate control. I was like, I can't. It's like it makes sense to me that like really for me, Jamie Foxx in this movie is just like he's almost not even a character. He's just like the reckoning that this white guy's like, oh, let's bring the black reckoning on everybody else, and we'll have Christoph Waltz deal with the emotionality of it, and Kerry Washington show the brutality, and then Jamie Foxx is just the hand of God enacting revenge. You know what I mean?
agree with that too, 100%. When we were watching it, and Jerah asked me like, would it be different? Would it be different if it was a black director? I was like, or would we feel differently? I was like, I don't think the movie would be the same. I said the same thing you did. Yeah. I was almost like, because the telling of this story is more through the eyes of the German side character, who's just
the lead. You mean the German lead?
Even the German lead character.
I think we would be harder on this movie if it was done the exact same way by a black person. We'd be like, well, why did you have to do?
Why did you do all these things?
What are you thinking if you did that? Maybe Tarantino gets a pass because he's been around a little long. A pass in terms of how hard. I think it would have been harder on a black person, because I think one thing that is missing, and you brought up a great point, is the slaves are depicted pretty simply. Their emotions are simple. There's no complexity in any really black person in the movie. Maybe Sam Jackson's maybe the only one, but everybody's either like sad or beaten down. There's no nuance to their emotion. Like the Mandingo fighter, he's like, oh, I did it. Dang, boss, I got to keep doing this. You know, it was no like.
Yeah, you see them sad. You see them
no
like the weight on it. But
they
even the other, except for maybe Sam Jackson's character, because he's like this mischievous dude who like knows how to put on a front. And reality, just I don't know, just hates. Has been trained to hate black people.
Django was almost like, you know, straight, like
just
a straight train. Like, he was just like, I just have to get this revenge. There was no like, you know, when he was playing his role as the slaver, there was no like moment, maybe with just him and Christoph, or maybe him lying in bed like, man, I hate myself for having to do this, you know?
Yeah.
There was nothing like that. He was just like, nope.
I would have loved it.
Fuck
That's
these,
how he got
But
it.
he's a cold. That's what I'm saying.
He's
so
a
cold-blooded killer.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm like, isn't that also a problematic image?
Yeah.
No, it
You know
is.
what I mean?
Yeah.
To have
It is.
Jamie Foxx just be this cold-blooded killer, and it's Christoph Waltz who's the one who starts to feel queasy about the stuff that they're doing.
To me, how good it would have been if he'd have got caught for being like emotional. If Django would have got caught by like feeling bad or having a look, that would have been
the
better.
one thing I'll throw in there though is that I would be okay with it if it was Jamie Foxx just being a superhero. But I don't. Even that scene where he kills when he killed all those dudes, I was like, damn, dude, that's messed up. You just tricked and I understand they're freaking slavers. They were about to.
Right.
But like, literally, a part of me while I was watching this again was like, that's messed up. You just lied to them and then killed them like
I ain't
in
feel
cold
bad
blood.
for that at all.
I honestly did, but
I ain't feel bad for that at all.
But I was just like, this isn't a revenge. I was like, all right, he's just gonna go.
I wanted all of them to die.
But he's not going around and like you were saying, like it would be cool if he was this person who was going around freeing black slaves. And it was like, oh my god, that's James. What if he was a legend? You know what I mean?
If he was the Punisher during slavery time, just going around setting black people free.
Well, like in Hateful Eight and these like the fascination with the time of the Civil War is because it's not because I don't. It's because there was a code of honor or something.
Yeah.
The whole Civil War eras, people were fighting for dignity. They say it in the Hateful Eight. He's like, my daddy fought for dignity and his honor and family,
loyalty and family.
Right.
and that's what to me was missing.
That's what the
from-
Confederate flag stands for.
That's what Django was missing for me. Because even when he went to the Baker Boys, that's what the Confederate flag.
Yeah, that's the Confederate flag.
It's about dignity and honor.
Dignity and honor.
But that's what people thought at that time, right or wrong, right? They were like, well, this is our land. This is what we stand for.
That's what people think now.
People think that's why it continues now, because those codes are eternal.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what's missing, I think, a little bit from Django. When he goes and kills the Baker Boys, which is really the only time he really makes a decision, because he wasn't supposed to go off book and kill them and whip them like the way he did in that blue suit.
Right.
But that was like his really only hero moment, because he made that decision.
That was the big
He was
save
so
moment,
like mad and needed. That was his real revenge moment.
Yeah.
Because that's when he had all the flashbacks to that specific
Exactly.
for his revenge, not just
Exactly.
to save her.
Exactly.
But even that was like it lacked an honor, because he just walked up and
It was just
killed
for
him.
himself.
And I would
Yeah.
say,
It was just for
It
himself.
was just for himself.
I would say too, though, to Jamie Foxx's credit, acting wise, a lot of these moments aren't there, but you can like see it from a storytelling point. Like when he has that quiet moment with Christoph. After I think, what was it? Like, I think Christoph was like, I'm going to put a stop to this. And then he was like, no, we're not going to put a stop to this. And then they have a moment of like, you told me to play dirty. You want me to play dirty?
Yeah.
And I think to Jamie Foxx's credit, like, in that, I don't know how it's communicated, but in those moments where he's playing that slave owner, like, I see that he's struggling to, like, I see that he doesn't want to do the things that he's doing, has to do it. And I also see that this person that he's playing is the worst type of person, is the worst type of black slave.
I feel like he said that, but I don't feel like I don't see that. Like I feel
Well,
like he
see, well,
said,
yeah, so I
he had
wonder
a
if
line
I'm
of,
putting
like,
it
you want
on
me to-
him.
Yeah, because I feel like he had a line where like Schultz pitched him the idea of playing like the dingo the dingo recruiter, and he's like, "You want me to play something that's worse than Uncle Tom?" Like he literally says, "You want me to play the worst thing a black person can be?" Right.
Right.
And I'm like, he says it, but watching. Look,
Yeah,
man,
the only thing we get is really that look when he first comes in, and then he has to say it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's around a lot of black people. He's at Candyland, and they're at he never looks at the other like servers and like,
even
damn, like
before-
this is, he never like acknowledges that he's in the world of slavery. It's like,
Yeah.
it's me and Christoph. We're separate from everything, and I'm gonna save my lady.
I'm a save
Yeah, but not only
mine.
that, before
I'ma
he
get mine.
before he did the Candyland like charade, when he was at the big house, the White House with the prostitutes, he says to that house slave, "I ain't no slave." Like he keeps making sure that she knows he's not a slave,
Yeah.
and he treats her like, you know what I'm saying, like he's not warm to her at all.
Yeah.
And it's
It's
like
true.
this is a
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, to me, and here's the difference is that Jamie Foxx, at the end of the day, all the people that he frees, it's like they're just like lucky that they were there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because he was trying to get his revenge on the people that he needed to get revenge on,
Yeah.
and they was like, all right, you can go. But he didn't. He had no emotional connection to these people. Whereas Christoph Waltz's character does. You see it so many different times. He sees the fight happening and he's queasy. He sees the guy getting ripped by the dogs. Like every time, like somebody calls Jamie Foxx the N word, he's like, excuse me, like talk to me. Like there is
dinner,
something
he's
in him that
queasy.
he's just like,
Everything.
I don't like this. Doesn't sit right with me. Like this whole thing of slavery doesn't sit right with me. And Jamie Foxx is just like, I don't want to be I don't want to be a slave. And so like, and then it's just like he's a cold-blooded killer. So I'm just like, if you want to make him just a cold-blooded killer, make him a cold-blooded killer who goes around and like kills
every place.
every
Yeah.
place. And
Make
just
him Nat
frees
Turner.
people. Make him like the people that they
Make
fear.
him Nat Turner.
You know what I mean? They feared in Glorious Bastards what's the
seven.
the seven.
seven,
Yeah,
like
the
they
whatever they call
were
it.
calling Glorious Bastards.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
The Inglourious Basterds.
yeah,
Yeah.
the Inglourious Bastards. They fear that crew, right? They fear the Bear Jew, right? They
Yeah.
have the names for them. Like, they fear those people. They're like, oh my God, those are the people who go around killing Germans and scalping their heads. Django, nobody even knows who he is until he kills them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to me, I was just like, I don't know. I wasn't connect. That's why I was the things that, and I honestly, this is what got nominated, and I don't know how much blame we should put on the Academy, because like the performances that I like the best were Leo and
Yeah.
Christoph Waltz,
Yeah.
because they had
They were the
characters.
characters that worked.
that work. Like, even Leo's character, he's like evil, but he's not just this pure evil for evil's. I didn't feel like he's pure evil for evil's sake. He was just like, he's this person who grew up who thinks he can own everything. You know what I mean? And he likes to play, and he's smart, and he's just like, oh, he has all these things, and he's just like, it's what he was taught.
Spoiled.
He was taught.
He's a spoiled brat.
Yeah,
He's
he
a
was-
spoiled
yeah.
brat, and it's like this weird character. That you're like, oh my god, this guy is kind of
Because
crazy.
He
but-
represents what people like. This is the thing. I personally believe that no one's born a racist. You're not. Like,
Yeah.
you're taught that. Like, he was a kid, and he says it throughout this whole movie. My daddy, my granddaddy, his granddaddy. He's like, this is something that's been passed down to this kid, this way of thinking, since he's been alive, and it's been through his whole family. So why would he think anything else? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, and he's lived in this place where, like, he even said, he's like, I've never left. Where is it? Mississippi is where this place is placed. You know, he says, I've never left wherever
think it was
this
Mississippi.
wherever this place is.
Yeah,
For what does he ever need to?
Yeah, so Django was like the guy that, like, yeah, he makes it, and they're like, well, people are getting whipped, and he's like, yeah, I know.
It's like,
That's
Yeah.
the way it is. Like,
yeah.
he accepted the world that he would live.
and,
he
it-
lived in.
and the movie made you seem, because there was that scene where he was like, when he was talking to Crystal Falls, he's like, look, this is what I have to do so that we can come and do the thing that we're supposed to do. But my thing was like, then it would be nice for him to have this like, just this moment where he's just like,
little
you know what, I
sympathy.
can't take this anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not that I can't take this anymore. It's like, I
This
didn't
is
finish the
tough.
job to get the girl that I'm trying to save.
Yeah.
And again, Kerry Washington just plays the girl to
give
be
her some.
saved.
They could have. Kerry Washington could have shot somebody at the end.
Or
Kerry
any-
Washington
why-
could shoot somebody.
I mean, Leo has the whole speech about why don't these black people raise up and destroy all of us, and it's because of the stupid, that
Yeah.
dumb thing. But it's like, why not have the slaves come and revolt
And help.
There's a slave revolt movie coming out soon.
The Nat Turner movie.
Birth of a Nation.
Is that one?
it's
That's
called
what it's
Birth of a
called.
Nation?
That's what it's called?
That's
Oh,
what it's called.
snap.
And it's premiering at Sundance
Yeah.
by Nate Parker.
I'm
Nate
excited
Parker's
for
doing
that.
Yeah.
He did it himself, right? Didn't he raise the money and everything himself?
Yeah, he
God bless,
also
man.
put it together, man. I hope I want to see it really bad.
Yeah, man, that should be good.
Before we get to the swirl, is there anything else we need to talk about? Do we need to talk about Sam Jackson's character anymore? Or?
I mean, Sam Jackson, though. I mean, people. I have had an argument with people before we even did the podcast that Sam Jackson is the big bad, because Sam Jackson is the guy who is signing the checks. He is the one who tells Leo what to do throughout the
yeah,
whole
he figures
time.
out. He figures.
He figures
everything.
out. He tells Leo, "You got to
Doesn't have
handle
to
this."
tell
Blah blah
him.
blah.
Yeah.
Technically, I mean, of course, everyone's scared of Leonardo DiCaprio, but Carrie and the rest of the blacks are terrified of Sam Jackson. And Sam Jackson, as he says, is the one that convinces them not to cut off Django's nuts, but to send him to the worst place. Where he
Right.
might
To do
Right.
something even worse.
So I mean, I felt, but then that's a good written character. Like, I don't know where, I don't get his deal, which is good.
Kind of. What,
Yeah.
why,
He was more
why
like
is
pure
he
evil.
that?
Huh?
He is the one
Like
who's
he
pure
made.
evil.
It seemed like he made the choice to be harder than he needed to be.
It was like, why was he that evil?
Yeah.
Was there any explanation for it?
Well, I think the idea though is that he's actually been running the plantation all this time. The idea is that the daddy is never really around. He actually raised Calvin himself. This is all like stuff that's not really in the movie, but
They
a part
say,
of the movie, and that Samuel Jackson and DiCaprio like talk about when they talk about their rendering of the characters is that like so he is really the
one in charge.
the one in charge. So, and which I also have a problem with that too.
But also,
I don't
have
even,
a
I don't
problem
even
with
believe it
too.
because it's not even true.
But the thing is, it's that thing too. I think.
well, yeah, I mean, it's like it's not
not-
real. It's not
I-
really there in the
this
movie.
is a controversial thing that I'm about to say, but honestly, that feels like when a woman is like, "Oh, I'm selling my body for sex, and I'm the one in charge." It's like, not really though.
Well,
you know
because-
what I mean,
well,
it's
because-
like because there's always this person who is technically owning you for a price. The same thing with Sam Jackson. At the end of the day, what Leo says goes, not what you say. You can like play your mind games, you can do whatever you want, but at the end of the day, he owns you. He owns your body. Leo does
Right,
own his
yeah,
body.
but they definitely wrote that he was able to play the mind games
Right.
in a way that was so successful that whatever
Like he throws away
wanted
the
to
cane
happen,
and he stands up
Yeah.
straight.
what
He's like-
happened. But I still think that that's a problem. Like
I
I think that like that, like the mere fact that that for this film they didn't let it be that he's really bad and also just as bad as him or worse, right? Are these white people that owned these people? You know what I mean? Like they let it be that, or Quentin Tarantino let it be that the person that we are supposed to hate the very most is a black person.
The black guy in blackface. Let's
The black
also
guy in
forget he's in
blackface.
blackface. And it's so interesting because he represents, especially like you're from the South, like the worst thing that, I mean, if I talk to my granddad, people like that, the worst thing is like the Uncle Tom. And he is
Which
the
I hate
epitome.
that, though.
It's true. But he is the embodiment of what
Also-
that's supposed
He's
to
the
be.
older version of what Django was
Also,
playing.
he's
the
not
black
an
flavor.
Uncle Tom. I hate we even call him an Uncle Tom because Uncle Tom is not that character. Like the Uncle Tom from the play that was written by abolitionists is the character of Uncle Tom is like where I'm going to forgive white people even though they do bad things to me. It's like the embodiment of what Jesus is supposed to be, of like I will continue to forgive and not reenact revenge or hate to you even though you hate me. And people didn't like that because they found it passive, and it was like we don't need this passive type of abolitionist movement. We want it to be forceful. It's like Martin Luther King versus Malcolm X.
He became
but
nice
now
again.
all of a sudden Uncle Tom starts to become this idea of like a black person who just wants other black people to stay where they are, and that's not what Uncle Tom was ever
Well,
supposed to be.
I don't think Samuel Jackson's character is the one who wants black people to stay where they are. I think it's almost a combination of the two. No, I think it's a combination of the two. I think
like,
it's
why is that nigga on a horse?
No, I think it's a thing of like, yeah, he is doing the crab in the basket thing, but it's also like he is almost forgiving everything that he's seen. Because Jamie says it repeatedly. He's like, you've probably seen a lot of terrible things here. And it's like he's given a pass to like what Candy has done to like his people.
He's not just giving a pass; he's feeding it.
No, true. What I'm saying is I think it's a combination of what I guess the initial Uncle Tom thing is and what people grew to hate out of that. It's like the black person who keeps other black people down and also who like feeds and is okay and just like turns a blind eye to like the terrible things that white slavers did.
He's
to
almost
people.
like the guy if you like to bring it like to modern times. If like you're working like for Wall Street or something, right? And you come up with a guy and he's like backstabbing everybody and he becomes like the right hand man,
Right.
And he'll do anything to keep his position in the company, to keep in the good graces of the boss.
Yeah.
Whether it's firing 100 employees or whatever, to bring it to like a modern analogy.
Yeah.
That's kind of who he is. The ultimate like sniveling corporate guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That you would
But
see.
But I do hate, like James said, I don't like.
But it's almost
that
like this
we
movie
hate
was,
him.
It's almost like this movie was written with slavery as a thing, but without consideration of it being the black considerations that we talk about. That would have made it different if a black person did it,
I agree.
It's like, from a writing point of view, it makes sense that Leo's character wouldn't be so smart to detect this,
Right.
that it had to be somebody else who told him to create tension and stuff. I mean, it makes so much sense from a writing
Right.
point of view, but when we look at it, we're like, damn, you made the black man
The bad guy.
despicable.
Yeah.
He's a hero, but he's also not that. I mean, it is great writing.
I
You know
also
what I
feel
mean?
like he's used. Yeah, it is. He's also used as the person to take away any thoughts that you might have towards Jamie Foxx's character. Of like, wait, Django doesn't seem to be that great of a guy. But in comparison to Samuel Jackson's character, you're like, oh, Django's a freaking hero.
Like, how cool would it have been if
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Django's the way that Django doesn't really care about the other black people is completely different from Samuel Jackson, who not only doesn't care about other black people, but actively tries to keep other black people down.
So when Tarantino says, I wanted to see if I could do this, and the answer is kinda.
Yeah, he did.
I don't know if you did it all the way because you didn't take into a lot of racial considerations, but you wrote a good Western revenge movie that would be great, but it was set in slavery and you don't know these things. You just don't know them. You're not aware because you're not black.
So I think it would have been great if Sam Jackson's character would have he could have been like if he would have had some type of emotional conflict of like the things he was doing to other blacks. How powerful would that have been? If it would have ended. I mean, if you would have had to end it with him and Jamie, but then Sam Jackson has a great monologue, which Tarantino writes about why he did this to other black people. Like, I feel conflicted. I did this. I started out trying to protect myself, my family, and
Maybe he doesn't feel conflicted. Maybe he's just like, this is a dog-eat-dog world.
But I'm saying, but say it was that. Just say he had something that you knew, like, why?
Absolutely.
Just why?
Absolutely. We don't know why.
It's just
but we don't know why. But Tarantino's just playing on the fact that there is this caricature that people understand of like, oh, that's that house Negro who like backstabbed to get there. Like, he's the worst person because the only way that he was there is
Basically,
if he
like,
sold out his brother.
For me, what would have really been would have been great for me is if the shit hit the fan, but it wasn't that Calvin was shot. Something happened, big shootout happens, but at the end, it's just Calvin and Steven just huddling up next to each other, like just scared, you know. And then and Django can still have his last monologue where he's like fucking shitting on Steven, like how many people you see come through here, whatever. And then he says some shit to Calvin that's like fucking white people are terrible or whatever it is. Yeah. And then he just empties 2 guns into both of them. That would have been great.
I mean, he needed to kill Calvin.
That would have been great.
That
would have been great for me.
This movie could have been about a lot of things. That's why it's not really a great movie about slavery.
Yeah.
It could have been Irish indentured servants. It could have been almost anything. It could have been a completely made up like Avatar thing where it was just like these people, and they didn't have to necessarily even be slaves. They could have been lowly paid workers or something. And that's why it's an entertaining movie and it's fun, but as a representation of slavery or the struggles and the things of that, it falls short. And that's where like a lot of problems are and the inward problems are to me.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, and then we have 12 Years comes right after, and it's so much more nuanced about this institution, specifically American black slavery, you know? And I think that's kind of the difference between the two. Tarantino made a fun shoot 'em up movie, which is what he does lately. You know, even Hateful Eight is, to me, Inglourious and Hateful Eight, they're almost like a trilogy.
Oh yeah,
it is.
100%.
It definitely is. Definitely.
It feels very.
Definitely feels very close.
They have the bounty hunters in Hateful Eight.
Yeah, it's so.
It was supposed to be like a sequel to Django. That's how he said he started writing it.
It felt
Feels
like
like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
He can't get to it. It's like we delayed a little bit. He's in the house, walking around the house. Calvin's sister is having a sleepover with all her white friends.
Why are there so many people there? No, these are adult people. Okay,
she's having a sleepover with her friends.
With her white women friends?
Yeah, with her white women friends. You know what I'm saying? They have a sleepover. They're talking about like how disgusting, you know, the world is, how disgusting. I hate that I have to like deal with, you know, these black people. Let's, you know, Django walks by the door. He hears it. Opens the door ever lightly. They get quiet, right? Then he drops off a one-liner like, you know what they say, right? And they're like, what do they say? Once you go black, you don't go back. And all of a sudden, he says it. He says it. Next thing you know, Calvin's sister has a look in her eye. And we're like, oh, wait, what's she going to do?
I think I'm more uncomfortable with this than the whipping scene.
But what Django says is, Django's like, I know what you want right now. I'm not going to give it to you.
Okay.
Because I love my wife. He walks out the room, closes the door.
What? Wait a minute. That's the swirl?
That's
the swirl is, it could have been an orgy, but it wasn't.
Because I refuse to see a movie where a black man cheats on his wife. So I want him to know.
Why didn't you choose one of the many other black people?
It has to be the lead.
It's
got to be the lead.
Why? It doesn't have to be the lead.
The swirl
has to be the lead.
What is it? The swirl.
Wait, when did that become a stipulation?
I've always made it the lead. I've never made it not the lead.
I mean,
because I don't want one of the secondary. I mean, this is my thing. Yeah, I could have made it a dingo fighter. You know what I'm saying? But then they would have tried to make it all barbaric. Like, I gotta figure out what this is, dating the black man. You know how people do sometimes. Like, I never dated a black man.
All I gotta say is, you know damn well Steven and Calvin's sister be going in the grossest sex scenes you could have ever seen.
I think it's more powerful that Django in a room full of women knew that he could have laid the peen, and he chose not to because he loves his wife.
I feel like you could have teased it a little bit more.
No, I didn't want to. I wanted the world to know that this black man
for this anti-swirl.
loved his wife enough.
What if they like all drop their clothes and then he was like, and then he closed.
Then he closed the door. Actually, that's better.
Thank you.
I didn't want
that would have been better.
No. I wanted the tension to be that everyone's clothed. All right, the pillow fight just ended. All right. And he came in just as better as
They're having a modern 1990s sleepover. They turn off 16 candles and
just as the last feather starts like falling to the ground.
The last feather? What are they watching the feather fall to the ground?
Well, no, it's like in the movies where it's like
in the movie whenever it slows down.
Everything slows down. So it's a close up. We see Django's face. We see the sister's face, and as we see her face, the feather slowly falls, and he's like,
"Oh my lord!"
I gotta go find my wife. Boom, door closed. Django becomes a hero.
This is great.
All right.
Yeah, you're welcome, world.
I'm glad that's over.
You're welcome. Oh, what you mean, glad it's over? I thought you would like that, John.
I mean, I do. I'm happy that we didn't get to.
Guys, I think John wanted more freakiness in
Real
the swirl.
quick,
I
though.
think that's
Real
the problem
quick.
is.
Real quick. I
He
don't
wanted
want
more freakiness in the swirl.
I don't want to divert this
It wasn't
conversation.
a swirl. You just anyway.
But After Earth, though,
How?
Is it any good?
We got to guess, dude.
Well, no, but just like think about it, okay? Because in After Earth, they are enslaved by their inability to.
Because you said enslaved doesn't mean
No, wait, because they're those creatures, they have to be completely stoic and they can't think. They're enslaved by the idea of these extra creatures that are on Earth. And they have to struggle.
They are enslaved.
What
They are like the
How are they
human
enslaved?
beings.
Where's this going?
There's
No one
two
knows.
human beings
No
that
one
are
knows.
Are we
on the
asking
Earth.
After Earth an
Yeah.
That's it. That's
allegory for slavery or something?
Yeah,
like
is
that?
it? I mean, is
No, it doesn't work,
But
James.
but thank you, Aaron,
It
because
doesn't
that's what I
work.
want to know.
Is the
because like,
screenplay of After Earth good, Eric?
yeah. What did you think of the screenplay?
No.
I didn't see it.
Like, like that movie, good for you.
All right,
Will Smith
cool.
doesn't
That's,
even
I
acknowledge that
mean,
movie.
y'all
No, I
don't,
meant to
y'all
see
don't
it.
have
I just didn't
to,
make it out.
y'all don't have to answer the question. I'm just
You sad now?
a little bit.
Oh, God.
Are you the
right.
the lone champion for After Earth?
I just
wants to know.
Out of you guys, I don't have an opinion. I haven't seen it.
Every time he does this.
Movie.
I was just wondering.
All right.
God.
It's time. It's time for the cause. As everybody knows, or maybe you don't, we rate this film. We rate films not based on how good they were, but how they helped the cause of more leading black actors in Hollywood. We got somebody with us today who co-wrote one of the only films this year.
Damn.
Well, like I mean,
That's not true.
No,
There's a
but
lot.
only one way. It was like a good guy. I mean, no offense to Straight Outta Compton, but they were thugs in that one.
With the best chance.
does any single movie help the cause? Is kind of a question.
That's a good question.
Kinda.
Like the movie itself,
He's questioning
or
the
is
cause.
it or is it like
No.
it's how the movie does, right?
How?
But it's how all. But like, here's the thing: like, it's how all of them do. Because a lot of times we're like, oh, I want to see this movie. It doesn't look good, but it stars black people. But white people make good and bad movies,
Right.
You know what I mean? So we kind of have to. You have to support all to get more good ones. You know what I mean?
Yes, we've talked about this.
we have,
like,
yeah.
I've rated some films with a fist, films that I don't like, but I still think that they help the cause. But I guess what we're talking about is in terms of
My thing is, I think maybe they all help the cause. It's us who don't help it when we don't support.
Oh, it's a new year, new cause.
Wait a minute, are you that guy who's complaining on Twitter?
No, but that's a very interesting concept. Supporting. So, okay, let me ask you this question.
You
though.
can take the worst movie with a white lead, for example. But if I mean, you know, there's guys, I'm sure, you know, I don't know off the top of my head, but we could think of people that consistently make bad movies.
Right.
But they do well at the box office. Not that they're killing or number
Yeah.
one, but they're making money.
Well, I guess I'll say this in terms of that, like, if a movie doesn't make money, or if a movie is just like they feel like that person isn't good and they can't actually carry a movie, then they probably won't make that person the lead in a movie again. And if they do that, then that's one less actor who's going to be the lead in films.
See, the only
So
thing
it
that
could
scares me
hurt-
about
could
that is that
potentially
means
hurt.
I gotta support Soul Plane.
Yeah, but
Man,
you
Soul
but,
Plane is
but-
rough,
Yes,
man.
and I think we said this because I saw that talk with Malcolm D. Lee, and he was like, "Yeah, go see the movies so that have black leads in them, because then they'll make money, and then there'll be more movies.
More, yeah, I
you know,
get-
they'll
I
just
get
be
that.
more."
Otherwise, the people that make decisions are looking for the exceptional movie too. So they're discarding something. You know what I mean? If it's not like somebody else bringing it to them. If it's not Spike, if it's not Ava or Ryan, you know what I mean? They're like, oh no, these black movies make money. Black movies don't. These ones do
Right, I
by
see what you're
these
saying.
people.
Yeah.
Like Straight Outta Compton does. So if you got another rap biopic, we'll do that.
Yeah,
If Ryan makes a movie like, okay, well, we'll get Ryan, we'll get Ava. Well, okay, no, I'm Aaron, and I'm like, I want my chance to direct. They're like, are you working with Ryan?
yeah,
Right.
We're not going to give you a movie. You know what I mean?
question
Like,
about that-
they don't know if black movies make money. They know that these ones do.
Right.
The thing that's so tricky about that is I definitely do agree, but it's that thing of I think it sucks, but I don't think we have the option as people of color, or I mean most women directors and movies, we don't have the option of having bad movies. So to me, it's like for me to say like I hate to use Soul Plane as an option, but to me to say Soul Plane helped the cause is tough because that was not a good representation of what black people can do with film. It's like it's not the best scripted, it's not the best directed, it's not the best.
Then we're
actor.
being exceptional. You know what I mean? We're saying we only want good black movies. But how do you know when you have good ones if you don't have any bad ones? You know?
I've made the case that I want movies that aren't good. I think, like we talked about.
Yeah.
And then it's getting priced out too because the movies are so expensive. So you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not going to go see a movie if I don't know that it's going to be good. If
Right.
reviews aren't good, if people aren't telling me it's good, I'm not going to go see it. So we're pricing ourselves out of like the mid-level and the bad black movies. You know what I mean? But you need all to have a. If you're going to be diverse, you got to have good diverse people and bad diverse people.
It's
true.
But you have
true.
to accept all of that.
So
I gotta
true.
accept Tyler Perry.
got-
Are you
Yes.
telling me in 2016,
But-
Aaron, I gotta accept Tyler Perry?
But yeah,
But everything doesn't have to be accepted at the highest. Tyler Perry is maybe over. I don't know. There's a lot of acceptance for him.
well,
Man,
we've gotten a lot to think about.
but Tyler Perry don't like dark skinned dudes. I don't want to
We
beat
got.
somebody.
We're not talking about Tyler Perry right now.
Man.
We're talking about Django Unchained, directed by Quentin Tarantino, starring Jamie Foxx.
Yeah,
does this movie?
I derailed the cause.
No,
No,
that's
no,
not the
no,
point.
no,
this
no.
is this
That's
is
a
added
good
context.
point.
worthwhile conversation.
Now, we either rated a black fist, meaning it definitely helped the cause, a white palm, meaning so-so, or nah.
Can I have a second?
All right, you're gonna have 3 seconds because that's what I'm going to count to, and then you're going to throw up a
When you
black
go- when you
fist,
go- when you go
a
start- are
white
you gonna-
palm, or nothing.
When you gonna start in 3 seconds? Are you gonna give me? Can I get a warning before you start? In
Oh
3
my
seconds?
God!
No, I'm just
Go
going to
ahead and
counting
start.
whenever I
Hold
start
on, wait.
counting.
Let me start thinking.
Oh
All
Lord!
right. I don't know either. I'm really conflicted. I watched too much Quentin Tarantino this weekend. All right, on the count
Oh
of
wait,
three.
you gonna start? Are you gonna start the countdown now?
I'm
You gonna start
the
it now?
countdown. Yes.
All right, my fault.
Good God. 1,
Oh, hold on, man. Listen, you gotta tell. You just
2, 3. Oh snap!
Oh wow!
Is that nothing,
That's nothing.
Jamie? Oh snap!
That's nothing.
I was close to giving it nothing too. All right, this is what we got. We got 1 black fist, 2 white palms, and nothing.
Nothing.
Who is gonna? I guess maybe. Why don't we start?
Yeah, I mean, mine is simple. I gave it a palm because of how conflicted it made me, and because of how divided members of the black community were after seeing this movie. I couldn't give it a full fist, though I wanted to because of the success of this film and because of the number of black actors that are in the movie and in substantial roles. But because of how conflicted it makes me, like because of the questions that I have, I had to give it a palm.
That's fair. So yeah, I give it a palm as well. I'm trying to look at what did Jamie Foxx do after this.
Oh, specifically Jamie Foxx.
Well, yeah, because he was our star.
Annie came out.
Annie,
Annie came
Horrible
out.
Bosses 2, A Million Ways to Die in the West. I guess he would play like
He played Django in that.
yeah. The amazing,
No, he played
the
Django.
Amazing
Oh, wow.
Spider-Man.
Oh, he's in that as
Yeah.
Django.
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah, he did
was the
Spider-Man.
villain.
But nothing like lead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
like,
guess Annie. He's like the lead male,
Annie's the lead.
but Annie's the lead. I don't know.
And stop calling
I
it
don't-
Black Annie, people.
I don't feel like. So my thing is like, especially how this woman's treated black women. I don't think it helped. Like, I don't think it helped Kerry Washington. Kerry Washington's
I don't
career
think
has
so.
been
She should've
helped by
did it.
Scandal, right?
Yeah,
Like,
she shouldn't have did this.
people-
Which came out that
This
year.
was before Okay.
Yes,
Came out the same
Scandal
year,
came
right?
out.
She probably filmed
Scandal
this
came out in
first.
April, and then this came out in December of that
Yeah.
year. But she filmed. She would have been filming this
Yeah.
first.
And whatever. Jamie Foxx has been popular. I don't know if this helped or hurt his career necessarily. He didn't get a nomination for it, at least not an Oscar. I think it's complicated. This whole Quentin Tarantino thing is complicated for me. I like Quentin Tarantino. I'm like more and more. I'm like, oh yeah, there's these problematic things that are there, but like also whatever. He gets to make the films that he wants to make. In terms of like, but like I said, like I think what we were saying. I guess the real thing is like, I still want films to have their black lead be like the actual lead of the movie, to have emotional journeys and arcs. And I think that a film like this, it's kind of that, like, it has that Samuel Jackson kind of vibe of like, oh, this dude's the man. He's like, this badass who like will kill anybody. But like, if that's the only role that people get to play, you know what I mean? Then like, is that really helping the cause of more and more leading? Because then it will continue to be limited and narrow. That being said, kind of like what Aaron was saying, was like it still was putting black person in the lead. It was before 12 Years a Slave. Like there was like a black cowboy. It's like it's a cool thing. He did get to be the hero in some aspects, you know. So I couldn't give it nothing. But yeah, I don't know. It was so.
I got two ways on this because even with the whole cause, I was almost like, no movie really helps the cause. That's what I was used to. That's what I was thinking at first.
So you're saying
like,
all movies help the cause and no movie helps the cause?
Yeah. I am. The movie itself, the artistic value of the movie,
Right.
no movie helps the cause. It helps those actors.
Right.
Yeah.
Even Creed helps me, Ryan, and Mike. You know what I mean?
Right,
It doesn't
right,
necessarily
right.
help everybody. Or maybe some other actors in the movie
Interesting.
are getting
yeah.
calls from that. But from a marketing and a money standpoint, every movie can help.
Right.
And this movie helps not because of Jamie, Carrie, and Sam. There was 100 other black people that have Django now on their credits.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Now, I almost did want to give it a white palm because it's Tarantino. And him doing a movie doesn't necessarily help anybody else. Like I said, it's his 8th, 9th movie, whatever he's done.
Right.
He has his unique style. He has his actors that he uses. When he does something, it doesn't necessarily help the cause. But all those actors, like we were talking about your friend earlier,
Yeah.
who couldn't book a role because he didn't have a credit, and I see that all the time. But those actors all now have credits, so they can get more roles, bigger roles in other movies.
Yeah.
That helps. The imagery of Jamie in a black cow, like those are cool things, and we don't have as many cool images as the white people do. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think that helps. The movie doing well kind of helps and kind of doesn't, I think. It doesn't, again, because it's Tarantino and then a lot of these known quantities, but it is a black movie. When you say it's a black revenge slave, like on the text, you know what I mean? So from a business standpoint, people behind the scenes, people hustling, and even if I wanted to do, like, I was like, I got this Western movie. It's kind of like Django, but like it's a black guy telling it.
Yeah.
It does help behind closed doors for people to continue to work and things.
Fair enough.
See, that's pretty fair. I think that might be one of the first movies I ever gave nothing.
Yeah, it's
and the
a
thing is,
few.
I actually like watch Tarantino films. The problem I have is that as we started doing this, I started thinking about Kill Bill, and I started thinking about like Inglourious Basterds. Kill Bill is a female-driven revenge story where she's wronged and she is her own driving force to get that revenge, and she gets it on every single person who wronged her. There's nobody like there's no Jiminy Cricket in her ear helping her out. It's her.
I think one of the differences, they came up with that together too.
True.
Right?
That might be it.
Like it was him and her. They brainstormed that.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, and when I think about Inglourious Basterds, it's like the Jews are getting revenge on Hitler, right?
And the Nazis, yeah.
And the Nazis, in as a whole. And when I watched this movie, it's like I didn't feel, as a black man watching it, I didn't feel excited or empowered. You know, I felt reminded of a bad time, you know, and I felt less coming out of this movie when I should have felt like, oh, I should have been like happy that this happened. And when I think about, like, of course it's great that the African Americans in this movie, you know, got a credit on their resume. When I think about that girl who played the slave at the White House or the Big House, I'm like, it's that thing. It's like, yeah, we want to get these roles, right? We want to get these roles. Like, you know, being a gangster on a TV show is great because it's a role, but you're now playing a gangster on a TV show. We have so many representations of blacks as gang members, as like degenerates in society. Like this movie, the two black women that speak, one is beaten down throughout the whole movie, branded,
There's
embarrassed.
a couple of black women that speak.
I mean, the three main men. One is the house slave who had sex with Candy. The other one's Kerry Washington,
What
who
about the
we
cook?
see happen, and the other one's the Big Daddy one.
And the cook.
Huh?
The cook.
Oh yeah, the cook talks. The cook. But it's like when I think of them, they're like there's no positive female representation in this movie. And I get that it's a slavery movie, but they could have like empowered. I don't know. They did it in 12 Years a Slave. They could have empowered one of them in some way.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like they could have.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like artistically,
Yeah.
this movie and most movies, like I don't think they necessarily help the cause. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
you
true.
were talking about Tyler Perry before, but I could now meet with actors in Tyler Perry movies and maybe get something going, get some traction on
Right,
another
true.
project
True, 'cause they got
because they have major movie credits.
True.
It just happens to be whatever movie you
True.
may or may not like, you know?
That's true.
Like
Though I
saying,
think
behind
those
the
Tyler
scenes-
Perry people are probably those credits aren't looked as favorably upon in like a movie that isn't like a Tyler Perry.
No, but it doesn't matter though. This is what I'm saying. When you're talking producers and casting directors and stuff, they want to see that you've been on screen. Whatever you're going for, they want to see you've been. I mean, you guys are actors, you know, but
Yeah.
even further behind the scenes, they just look that you have experience being on these kind of sets, experience with big directors and big movies, so that you will basically act right if they give you some. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whether it can sell or not, that's a different consideration. But for to be considered, you have to start. That's why you have to start with like commercials, and then you go to like a bit part, then a recurring, then a regular.
Yeah.
Like they make you go through these tiers.
Yep.
If you do a movie like this, you've skipped tiers, so now you can get different roles that you couldn't before. How does a movie make us feel as a culture and stuff? I probably would not give it any. I probably wouldn't give Django. I probably would give it to nothing. You know what I mean? But from a business, behind the scenes,
From
and
a
like
pure,
things that I'm,
more
things
leading
that,
actors.
yeah, things that we're dealing with now, and that you look at, it's like, I mean, we had guys in our movies that aren't actors in Creed. You know what I mean? They weren't. They didn't act
boxers,
before,
right?
and even some other guys, and they're getting attention now. Because, and it doesn't matter how many lines they had in the movie. You saw their face on the screen.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're getting calls like, oh, you were in Creed. Yeah, we saw you. You were in there for 2 minutes at this point. It helps tremendously.
Though,
But does it help our social consciousness and everything? That's
true.
a different question.
I think that's a great point. The one thing I just want to talk about real quick before we end.
So I'm saying take roles, but then when you get a little juice, we do need to develop our own things. Everybody, put your own mind into it.
Yeah.
Let's work together and make better, make
Yeah,
projects that we want to see, that we
good
feel
point.
are authentic,
On IMDb, they said that Cuba Gooding Jr. like really wanted this role and like petitioned for it, and Tarantino just was like, no,
Oh, really?
just didn't even
Why?
consider him.
That would have been perfect.
What?
That would have been perfect.
See?
Excuse me?
But that's what I'm saying. But this is the only thing that I'm like. It doesn't really
Because of, like, the
contradict what
reputation.
you're saying.
Yeah.
But there is a reputation that somebody brings, and like Cuba Gooding Jr., for instance, being in movies like Snow Dogs and like
Now,
whatever
Boat Trip?
boat
No.
trip. Like
Okay.
honestly, I think it hurts people's image, and when we're talking about leads, like
Okay, but since we're talking about it,
But I wonder if Tarantino even likes Jerry Maguire.
Yeah.
I feel like
maybe
he
he
doesn't
does.
like
Yeah.
that.
Maybe
and
he
that was
doesn't like Cuba
Cuba's
Gooding Jr.
standout
That was
role.
yeah.
So I think, because most of the guys he chooses from the past or whatever, like that he grew up with, 80s, 90s actors, they did like real gritty
Yeah.
kind of work. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Jerry Maguire was a very clean movie. You know, so
very
I don't,
clean
I don't even know if Tarantino really would care
he's a
about.
boy.
He
Boys
was
in
in
the
Boys in the
Hood.
Hood, though.
something
Yeah.
interesting that.
But then he
that-
did Jerry though. That was his big one.
Oh, true. He did win. He won the
That's
Oscar for
winning
Jerry
Oscar
Maguire,
for it.
right?
What
Something
do
that
you think?
Tarantino said about why he chose Jamie Foxx was he said something about his ability as an actor. And then he said, oh, plus he's funny. Now, when I read that,
Interesting.
I don't think that Django was that funny. Django, the character.
He had like a couple of one-liners.
The
maybe.
movie, there's a lot of humor in it. He has a couple of one-liners. But if I'm picking my actor to play this part, I don't know that I want someone that's gonna, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if there was stuff if there was more in it that was like cut out. But I just feel like there's like a weight that Cuba Gooding Jr. could have brought to it, that like picking an actor who you are picking because they're gonna be funny, but you don't actually really go down that route. Do you know what I mean? Like
also,
that.
he does it all the time. Like no one even was clocking for John Travolta until he
Yeah.
did Pulp Fiction. Like he usually resurrects people. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what Tarantino
Yeah.
is good
He
at.
didn't-
He could have helped out
Who
Cuba.
knows?
Yeah.
Whatever, we don't know.
He should just say
that's
that.
interesting.
Yeah, he should just say, I just wanted Jamie.
Yeah, I just want.
Like, it was just his personal choice. It wasn't.
Yeah, that's fine.
So
he didn't like Cuba or whatever. Cuba's
all
great.
right.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Black fist, two palms, and nothing.
Why are you looking at me as you say nothing?
It
like
remains
that?
a polarizing
Nothing.
movie.
Remains a polarizing
No,
movie.
yeah.
And Aaron Covington's going to put us in his next movie, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
All
but
right,
you know
there we
what?
go. I got it on record.
Hey,
We got it.
When you guys asked me, I was like, well, what are we going to do? We threw some ideas around. I was like, We should do Sister Act, but then you're just like, this is only black male podcast.
No. We do black women.
We should have done.
It's usually
Oh,
we should have came with the Sister Act.
it's usually a woman.
Sister
like
Act
we
2
have
back in the
women-
day.
We have
Sister
women
Act.
talk about women.
Oh man,
We'll do Sister Act.
my girl
Sister
and I
Act
have been
1 or
singing
2.
"Oh Happy
All
Day"
right.
for the last 3 days.
Just I feel good about the audio contract that Aaron Covington just.
Oh, yeah, he
signed
just
on the
said it.
podcast.
I want no part of
Nick, we got
this
that
audio.
right.
Oh,
You got
okay,
that,
great. You heard that. James III is out. He doesn't want to be in the film. So
Oh,
All right,
you don't-
whatever.
Hold on. You don't want to work with me, bro?
Oh, you burning bridges.
I'm just saying, I don't like to back people in the corners.
Why not, man? That's how shit gets done.
I like to have open conversations.
Man,
Like
you,
that-
ain't
that's
trying
how.
to, you ain't trying to win.
Yeah, you ain't trying to win.
You ain't trying to
That's
win,
all right.
bro.
Me and Jerah winning. High five, Jerah.
And see, now we got to get you guys the credit.
That's
And
right.
then it just build. We'll do.
That's right.
We'll do.
I already got 2 under 5s in movies, baby. Just give me one more. That's
yeah.
what I'm talking about. Build it up.
So
Build it up.
my next project is Bamboozle 2. I need both of y'all to get in white face and black face.
I'm good with it.
It's a good.
Hey. Oh man, that's what we gotta do.
You got to do it. You got to sing and dance.
All right.
Oh,
Dude, somebody just.
The N word is 250
There's
times.
oh, I don't know.
See that?
Somebody reviewed us on iTunes.
Now here it
that
is.
we
It's
were
on record
coons.
that I didn't agree to do that.
You got saved.
I didn't just openly agree to do that, boo.
Somebody said on
Putting it to
iTunes
the
that
test.
we act coonish.
Who said that? Was he black or white?
I don't know. He better be black.
Hey man,
I didn't even think if he's white that we're gonna riot.
Man, you should look up that dude's name. I'd have shouted out right now, and I will find you. I have a set of skills. What did they say in that movie?
Somebody said we act coonish.
Yeah, man.
To that person, I say, go fuck yourself.
Let's end on that one.
All
See
right,
y'all.
baby. We out. Thank you, Aaron Covington.
Thank you.
Oh wait, hold on. Do we stop? Do you have any plugs?
Not right now.
Any UCBLA shows coming up?
No.
All right.
No.
All right. Go see Creed.
You go
Still
see
in
Creed.
theaters.
Buy the soundtrack.
Whoop,
Oh.
whoop. Oh, what? You got something?
No.
Just checking us like Samuel Jackson.
Check. Check Twitter, I guess. And
Oh yeah. What's your Twitter handle?
At Bearcov.
At Bear Cove.
BEARCOV.
Boom. Follow him on Twitter. And now we out.
Wait,
Bye. All right, it's time for some plugs.
Plugs.
Cheer.
Plugs.
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 All right, stop. Would you guys stop it? This is why people on iTunes are making fun of us.
Plugs.
Nah, screw those people. Also, thank you guys for subscribing and for following us on Twitter, tweeting at us. We now know that we have listeners in Hawaii,
Yeah.
and New Zealand.
Yo,
Zealand.
international.
New Zealand is as far away from us as you
Yeah.
could possibly get.
No, seriously, man, that support y'all been showing us so love. We're so thankful for that.
Thank you for the So, but if you aren't following us and you want to jump on board this support train, at Black Men Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. You can also like us on Facebook. Black Men Can't Jump in Hollywood, I think is whatever. You can find it.
Yeah,
We have a
you can find it.
Facebook
It's still
fan page.
it's at Black. You could technically do at Black Men Podcast on Facebook, and it would locate.
It would
us
probably
as
locate
well.
us too.
Yeah.
And for me personally, Jonathan Braylock, at John Braylock, BRAYLOCK, on Twitter and Instagram as well. And johnbraylock.com for my shows, dates, and some videos. Just did a new video with I have Francesca.
MTV Other. It was
Yeah, for
MTV Other.
MTV show Decoded.
Decoded.
It's just a sketch.
It was a good sketch.
Yeah,
I watched
it. It was fun. No, thank you,
It was a
Jerah.
good sketch,
Oh,
man.
I didn't
watched
know.
it.
I haven't seen.
Oh, it was him, Caroline Martin, one of our friends. It was a good sketch.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
sounds like a good sketch.
It was a really good sketch.
And this is what we're at the 16th right now or
Yep.
whatever, around the 15th. Yeah. So let's see. We got two astronomy club shows. Should I plug those?
Yeah, plug 'em.
Okay.
You most certainly should.
We got 2 Astronomy Club presents a journey through Black history at UCB Chelsea in New York City. So if you live in the New York City area, come on out January 18th, which is in a couple of days.
Which is also Martin Luther King's
Martin Luther
birthday.
King.
You already off.
That's right, baby.
already
You're
off.
off. It's
You're
only
already off.
$5.
$5, and you're going to learn something about Black history.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you're ahead of the game. It's before Black History Month.
That's
Before
right.
it.
8 p.m., January 18th. Or if you can't make that, Friday the 29th, we have another show, 7:30 p.m.
Yep. You can come to the show, take a date, you know, get a little bit of wine or something afterwards, some cheese.
you know.
Get some wine and cheese. Show your
I don't think you can eat the cheese inside the theater, but you can definitely drink the wine.
Oh, you can definitely drink that wine.
And then if you spill the wine,
You buy another one.
what is it? Spill the wine, get that girl, take that girl.
Spill the wine, wine and dine.
What is that?
Spin the wine. Oh yeah,
Take that.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Hold on. Another song. Spill the wine. I always.
All right, I don't know.
I always just screech.
I honestly have zero
I just start
idea what's-
screeching.
That's the Isley Brothers. Anyway,
you
Oh,
plug
it's the
it?
Isley Brothers.
What you got to plug?
Yeah, you know, James Third Comedy. That's 3RD. You know, you can find me on Twitter.
So it's
Facebook,
James-
Instagram.
the numeral 3, and then the letters RD.
That is correct.
Nice, I got it right. Great.
And you can just James Third Comedy. That's .com. It's on Twitter. It's Instagram. It's Facebook. That's how you can find me, baby.
All right.
I'm back to not plugging nothing. I
What?
feel
What
like
happened?
I feel like I lost my way.
Wait, you don't have no Twitter anymore?
Well, this is the thing. I tried to change my
aren't you
Twitter.
Hollywood region?
I tried to change my Twitter and it wouldn't let me. So I
It's too
gave
late.
up.
It's too late for you.
I gave up.
So you off Twitter again?
So I'm off it.
What's gonna happen? I wonder what's gonna happen to me though when I
Why
become
don't you just
a-
restart?
Well, I guess you could. Yeah.
yeah, just do a new Twitter.
I mean,
But
Anyway.
when I become like a chiseled, grizzled old man, and I'm just doing
Chiseled, grizzled, old man?
chiseled and grizzled, both of them.
You're going to be a jacked old man?
Yeah, I'm gonna be a jacked but grizzled old man.
oh my God, you're disgusting.
But what happens when I'm doing that, and I'm just doing like art house films, but on Twitter I'm James Third Comedy.
I don't care. Oh, we have one more show.
I'm asking for y'all help.
So we have one more show.
I'm asking for y'all
Yeah, I don't know what's
help.
happening.
we have a
two
show
more
at
things. Two more
NYU.
things. Real quick. One, we're going to be guests on the This Is Why You're Single podcast.
Yes.
A fellow Headgum podcast.
Yes, those ladies are funny and also very informational. I
They
learned so
are
much.
very funny.
So
and very
that's coming out on
I learned
the
so much. What do you mean?
20th.
Yep.
So that'll be next week.
January 20th.
Enjoy that. Mm-hmm.
Check it out.
And then NYU show.
We have an NYU show. James the Third knows
Live
the dates.
show.
Yes,
February
it's February 8th, 6:30
p.m.
NYU Gallatin, the
NYU
Jerry
Gallatin.
H. Labowitz Theater for the Performing Arts.
Wow.
You're an alumni, right?
I am an NYU alum.
Wow, we're going to Bray's.
We go into my
Alma Mater.
stomping ground.
Hey, you gonna show us
My
around?
mater.
It's New York.
I'm
dude.
saying, but you gonna show us around? Want to like hang out? Are you gonna
Sure,
show us where the
there's
Chick-fil-A
zero
is?
campus.
Can we go to Chick-fil-A?
Yeah, we could go to Chick-fil-A there.
What you
Sweet.
order?
Chick-fil-A.
All right. So a lot of stuff happening for us in January.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot.
All right. So you guys get on that. Come out, support. Otherwise,
We love y'all. We thank
we
y'all.
love you. Rate and review us on iTunes.
Only good reviews though.
Spread
Only
the
good
review.
rates.
Yeah.
But
give
when
us them
I'm
5 stars.
grizzled and chiseled,
Shut up. See ya. Back
See
to
you
the show.
next week. Oh no! Whoa! We gotta tell them what we're doing next week.
oh my
Oh
God.
snap! I took my headphones off. I was gone.
Guys, next week. First of all, Oscar nominations came out. We probably angry, but next week we are doing Straight Outta Compton.
Straight out of Compton. Crazy I didn't want to curse yet.
Thank you for not cursing.
Starring Jason Mitchell,
You know, it's
Corey
the
Hawkins,
story of NWA.
and O'Shea Jackson Jr.
Jr.
Directed by F. Gary Gray.
Straight Outta Compton. It's on DVD. It's available on DVD. You can rent it on iTunes,
Yep.
on all that stuff. So go watch it because we gonna review it right here. Her
Here.
Sorry.
Right? We're going to watch
Right.
it right
We're going to write
here.
right here.
Watch it right her.
Wait, no, you just did.
Did I do the accent? But I did her. I
You're
did.
embarrassing
We'll
us.
see you next week.
Bye.
That was a